Hi, Disciple Training Camp campers. I brought a special friend with me today. His name is Martin Luther. On this Sunday, October 25th, we will be celebrating the Reformation, and you'll probably hear the name Martin Luther. So I thought I would bring him and introduce him to you. Martin Luther lived about 500 years ago in the country of Germany, and his father wanted him to be a lawyer. And Luther was studying in school to be a lawyer, and one day on his way to school, he got caught in a very bad thunderstorm with lots of lightning, and he was very afraid. So he prayed to St. Anne and said, "If you save me from this storm, I will become a monk and serve the church." Well, Martin Luther did survive that storm, and he went to the monastery and became a monk, and he started to work for the church. Then he went to Wittenberg and became a professor of religion at the university there. Well, whenever he was studying his Bible, he started to find some things that were a little bit different, some new things that he wanted the church to talk about, because at that time there really was only the Catholic Church. Luther wanted to talk about his ideas and to see if the church could make some changes. One thing he wanted to talk about was called Indulgences. These were pieces of paper that people would buy, and it would be kind of like a ticket to get them out of purgatory. They believed that when somebody died, they didn't go right to heaven, but they spent time in a place called purgatory, making up for all of the bad things that they had done in life. Well, Luther couldn't find anything about purgatory in his Bible. See, Luther's holding his Bible here with me. And he knew that indulgences were just a way for the church to make money off of people who were afraid of what would happen to them after they died. So he wrote 95 statements that he wanted to talk about, and he called them the 95 Theses. Well, on October 31st, 1517, Luther nailed those 95 Theses onto the church door in Wittenberg. The church door was kind of like the town bulletin board, because they didn't have things like Facebook or websites to post things on. Well, people started to read what Luther had written, and they were talking about what he taught. And as Luther kept reading the Bible, he found out something really important. He found out that people were saved by God's grace, not by their works. And that's a big statement for Lutherans even to this day. In other words, we can't do enough good things to earn our way into heaven or to earn God's love. God's love comes to us as a gift. There's nothing that we can do but say thank you. Luther got into trouble for those ideas that he wrote and he taught, and he had to appear before the Diet of Worms. No, he didn't have to go and eat worms. A diet was a meeting of the church and the government officials to make decisions, and it was in the German town that was called Worms, and we usually pronounce it Worms, more like a V. Well, at this diet, they put all of Luther's books and all of his writings on a big pile there in front of him, and they told him that he needed to take back some of those things that he had written. Luther said he couldn't do that. He said, "I believe what I said. I can only stand here and say that God is with me." Well, they called Luther a criminal, and they were going to come after him. Some of Luther's friends kidnapped him and took him to Wartburg Castle, where he could be safe. When he was in the castle, he had some time on his hands, so he did something else very important with his Bible. At that time, the Bible was only written in Hebrew and Greek and Latin. And not very many people had a good education, so they couldn't read those words. Luther translated the Bible into German, the common language that everyone in Germany spoke. And Luther went back to teaching after he left the castle, and more people listened to Luther and agreed with him, because now they could read what the Bible said for themselves. And they began to see how God really loved them and was not just out to punish them. After a while, people started to call themselves Lutherans because they followed what Martin Luther said about God. Now, Luther wasn't very happy that people were calling themselves with his name, but we still do to this day. We still call ourselves Lutherans. We believe that we read the Bible and learn things from it, and we think about it and we understand God and Jesus, and that's based a lot on what Martin Luther had written. And we keep going through disciple training camp. We listen and we think about our Bible stories, and we remember that Martin Luther helped us to know that we belong to God and we are saved by God. We love God because God loved us so much and continues to love us so much. So today I want to wish you a very happy Reformation Day, and I'll see you next week.